Afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining the Simpla WebEx this afternoon, on Friday afternoon. As mentioned in the invitation, we're going to be discussing the Enterprise Portal solution. What is an Enterprise Portal? Today, we're going to be talking about the Automation Self-Service Catalog, how you set it up, what are the traps, what's a self-service catalog. I'm from Metsi. My name is Michiel Waard, and I need to I have at least one slide on the company that's going to be done on Metsi. That's one slide. Then I'm going to be talking to you around some of the use cases and automation. What are the pros? What are the contrasts? What are the challenges people have by setting up a self-service portal? Then I'm going to be talking about our self-service portal itself, quite briefly on that one. And then we're going to step into a demo given by Phil. On this WebEx, you have a chat box. So if you want to have any questions in the immediate trust, you can speak up. Or if you're rather have it via the chat box. There's a chat box. You can ask questions in the meantime, and we'll try to answer them when they come in. So let's start it rolling. So first of all, as I mentioned, I have to send a little slide on Metsi Technologies. We're a UK-based company, UK and South African-based company, focused around consultancy services for enterprise portals, for self-service solutions, and that underpinned by a strong focus around security. So what we do is we advise people around and support people around setting up a self-service portal. And with setting up a self-service portal, you also need to take into account certain security measurements. Like if you set up a portal, one of the things that's inherent to portal is the fact that you have people that access the portal, so you need to have an identity and access management system according to it, and we help you guiding around that one also. So we do project delivery. We set up those projects across EMEA, across the world, in fact, and we support them. We do quite a lot of IP development. I'll come back on that in a little bit later. But the most important thing, we are all about enablement. So our goal is that a self-service portal should be also self-serviced by the customer itself. We've created something which allows a customer to deploy services on that portal in a very easy way without having the need of help from people like ourselves or other consultants. We made it very easy access to deploy services in this portal. Okay, so that's what we do. A service company with a product called Metsi Simpla, providing everything around setting up service catalogs. How do you automate and orchestrate business processes and workflows? So if we go a little bit more on the use case and the cases, first thing I always say, we need to have a definition on what is a service catalog. A service catalog, in our opinion, is a single dashboard or enterprise portal which exposes all services in one place. It is a kind of a single pane of glass. Every service should be a self-service exposed to one single portal. And a portal is it's a user interface. And I'm sure in every company you have multiple portals. You have portals that help you with, for example, your SAP portal. You maybe have a portal for virtual machines. With VMware or Microsoft, you have a ServiceNow. You have HP Service Manager. You have multiple portals within a company. But what we're talking about is a portal on top of that, which allows you to have a single portal which will use the automation, creating all those different buckets, but will be presented via one single portal. So a vendor or a user could be an employee, customer, partner, a journalist, whoever wants to interact with your company, only has one portal and only needs to log in via one single portal to get access to the services he gets access to, depending on the role he has. And a service, what we define by a service, is not popping up a virtual machine or whatever. It's going from popping up virtual machines, of course, but also ordering a car park space, booking a meeting room, anything that can be automated, anything that somebody needs within an organization where there is a workflow, where there is a process, a business process behind it. One of the most common ones, for example, onboarding an employee or offboarding an employee, something that's been forgotten quite a lot with people. Onboarding an employee, he needs to get a laptop, he needs to get maybe a car or a desk or whatever, all those things. All those things will need to be ready when the guy or the lady starts, and that's an automated process that can be easily done in a solution like a service catalog. And then also when the person leaves or moves from that division to another division, certain access rights and things need to be removed and changed, and that kind of thing can be organized in a self-service catalog. So services should be requested and fulfilled with a standardized platform. That's what we call a service catalog. It's a one-time investment in a long-term scalable solution. That's what we say. So the portal itself is something which is it's not an event. You're not going to go from a portal solution from day one to day two. It's an event. It's not an event. It's a process. It takes time. You start with certain use cases you want to do. For example, backup as a service, or employee onboarding, or I don't know what's important to your business, and you start using that service first and expose it via that single portal, and then day by day you add new services onto that portal, as long as it makes sense for your business. So all services exposed in a single place, and adding new services as the business growth becomes easier. A very important thing is we're going to be removing unnecessary red tape. Why do you do that? In a lot of cases, a service itself requires multiple business units within an organization to be involved to deliver that service. I need to get pricing information from my sales department. I need to get stock information from my logistic department. I need to get, I don't know what, from my HR department. I need to get something from legal, from security. All those people need to be involved in certain, for me as an end service product, those things will be, if you automate the flow and the business processes, that SLA or that service will go smoothly through all those red tapes or all those hurdles which are now inherent in each and every company that we encounter. It improves customer satisfaction because the end customer who consumes the service, be it an employee, customer, whatever, is assured within a certain time, because everything is automated, that the product that he requests, or the service, it doesn't be a product, will be there, will be answered within the time frame that's being foreseen by the company, because everything is being automated in the most simple way. There's no manual process anymore between it. It demonstrates the value of IT it's delivering to the business. It is an important aspect because it demonstrates that IT, instead of becoming a cost center or staying a cost center, it now is being cross-disciplined. In the past, IT was an IT department, and that's where it is. Now, when you do business process automation and you include all those different silos which are in your organization, you're going to be making them work together. You as an IT department becomes very important, because everything goes through, even it's booking a meeting room or employee onboarding, for example. The other things, process which goes through your IT department, which you control, which you own, which you drive and monitor. As I mentioned, it's a process, it's not an event. That's important. You'll see one of the contrasts or the challenges you have with implementing a service catalog, what they are, but it's about change management, and also a thing that we've implemented. As I mentioned, it's on top of the existing orchestration platforms, automation platforms you have. It has an integration aspect with all the existing automation tools you have. So you don't need to throw away the years of investments and speciality and knowledge you've built out in a certain area in order to bring that in the service portal. The service portal will trigger that knowledge and that experience and that automation practice in order to bring that service up and running. So you don't have to throw away the thing that you've invested in a long time. Service catalog challenges, as I mentioned. What is important, the project where we're very successful at across EMEA are always a project which have a service needs an owner and a definition. You need to have an owner of the process from A to Z, from cradle to grave. You need to know somebody needs to take ownership. That's my service, I want to bring out. For example, I want to bring out a virtual machine. I sell virtual XYZ. I need to have pricing information. The firewalls need to be done, so security needs to be involved. Sales need to be involved, need to be compliant with X, and the support division needs to be involved. All those things together need to have one owner that oversees all the processes and ultimately approves and steers the process. Once it's written down, then you can start automating things. So it's important that every company finds out, and we'll see the steps what we take, that there is a business owner or a process owner for those things. Legacy islands of management will need to change to collaborate, remove the hot potato syndrome, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, now it has to go from security to, I don't know what, networking, and then maybe networking, so it's not our thing. No, once the process has been defined, that's why the owner needs to be from a CXO level. That's when they say, okay, no, that's the business decision, that's what you're going to be doing, and that's how it works. Everything will be going smoothly, because once that is done, it's an automatic approval process. A lot of people also need to have have a lot of portals to work with. As I mentioned, if I need to log a support ticket, I have a specific portal. If I want to book a new employee or order a laptop for my company, I need to have another portal. If I do this or whatever, I need to have another portal again. So what we're trying to do is to avoid all that. All those portals stays there underneath, but for the end user, there's no view on that one. And you'll see that in demonstration. It's one single pane of glass that can trigger all kind of activities and collaborate with every automation tool that has an API exposure, which we can trigger into and it can do its work. But for the end user, you don't need to know anything about VMware to launch a virtual machine, or I don't need to know anything about SAP to get a certain thing out of my logistic system. So it puts an abstraction layer of complexity. It pushes it down, and you as an end user, it's very easy for you to use it. You don't have any integration with or you don't have any issues with the underlying technology, which can be as complex as you can imagine. And change is also a challenge. One of the things that we've seen with a lot of those engagements we're doing, it's about change management. People need to make sure and need to be feeling comfortable that when you automate things, if you give your approval today, the approval will also be lasting for the upcoming months or years, as long as that process stays alive. People are a little bit afraid about change. That's why we always say, take it step by step, eat the elephant in pieces. Just start with a small piece, a simple use case, which is very visible, and then move on to the next use case and put more and more service on the platform. But take always easy wins. That's where we as an organization, Metsi, can help you with, because we've done those services, those implementations quite a long time, and we know where the issues lay within the change management. So it's about people, process, and technology. As you know, technology is the last thing to worry about. It's making sure that those processes are in place and that the people are compliant to those processes. Once that's done, you draw out the automation, the process workflow, and we can build it into a very automated system and make sure that it's exposed to the end user in a way that he understands and he can access it. Executive sponsorship and buying from stakeholders is critical. As I mentioned, it goes across borders. It goes across divisions, across multiple expertise domains within a company, which means you need to have executive sponsorship in order to make sure that the decision can be taken from the top down. It's also a strategic viewpoint, because a lot of people start using it, and when they're starting to think about a digital transformation strategy, a service catalog is a perfect example and can be a perfect vehicle to start driving digitalization into your organization. And as I mentioned, quick wins with initial service definition and rollout are important. It can't be that you will be working on a service catalog for 7 years and then expose your services at the end. No, you need to have in 1 or 2 months, you need to have your first service up and running, or in a month, depending how complex they are. You need to have it in a very quick and a fluent way. It needs to be done. And they also need to be very well tested from a user experience. So that's what we do. So when we start a service catalog investigation or project, we always start with, explain me what are your business objectives. You need to understand properly what and why are you doing a service catalog. What do you want to expose to your end users? Who are your end users? What do they expect? And what I mean with it expecting is what is the total package. So they only have to have one request, and that will be fulfilled and have all the answers that he needs by clicking that one button. Then service definition, we have to understand the service definition and the components that it touches. As I mentioned, it touches multiple aspects of your organization. You need to understand them all and know where all the touch points are, so you can automate the end-to-end workflow properly. Have to review the current service landscape. What you have, at least the enterprise, the service catalog should at least be better than what you offer right now, or at least as good in a much more easy and much more convenient way. Let's hope like that. So it's important that you know where the baseline is. Then always review the touch point for third-party systems, process, and infrastructure. Again, what are the service dependencies? How do I link them? And then user experience, enable rich and intuitive user ordering and fulfillment experience. That's critical. People start consuming services if it's easy for them. If you make it difficult, if they need to log into 75 different websites or portals or whatever it needs to be done in order to get something done, they run away from you. If you make your customers, your partners, your employees easy to participate, to get access to services or things or to participate to the business, they will do that. Make it easy, and that's why we've built out the Metsi Simpla platform. It's something which takes all complexity away and makes it very easy and convenient for somebody, a customer, journalist, whatever, to get access to the data or the services he needs via that single user interface. Important, and getting more and more important with all the regulations and things coming up, governance and compliancy. Also remember, some of the projects we are driving from a service catalog perspective are driven from the security angle. Because once you automate processes, manual errors and manual failures are being taken out. Once the process has been approved by security, you know that that process, that service delivery, will be compliant with the business regulations that have been set up by security itself. So a lot of people are now trying to push automation and link it via a security piece. Security piece, another thing is also role-based access and security policies. So due to the fact that the portals have role-based access control, you know that that person only can get access to those applications, those services, depending on the role and the function he has within the organization. Integration points, there's end-to-end fulfillment and integration points. As I mentioned, a service is only a service if it's something from A to Z. Not that you get a service and you need to get the pricing somewhere else, or you need to get something else or another part of it in another portal. No, a service is an end-to-end thing. Everything gets delivered in from one template. Billing is important, chargeback, and also departmental costing. So if you start building those services and they are multidiscipline, multi-departmental, you need to think about, okay, what is the cost? Because a lot of companies are starting to charge costs to certain divisions. What is the impact? And you need to have that discussion up front. You take so much, I take so much. That's the cost of the entire service, and that's how the costs are allocated across the departments. And of course, there's a continuous improvement. A self-service portal is as good as the last day. Tomorrow is a new day. You need to refresh, update it, and make sure that you continuously work on it so it becomes a live and a working mechanism to expose your new service and update things on a regular basis. That are the things we go through every time we start a discussion with people that want to start with self-service portals. So again, managing a service request, before I go to the demo quick, that's how we see it a lot. You have an end user and that has multiple portals, can log in via the help desk, can go via the website, can go everywhere, and just want to get some services delivered. And in the back end, there's a spaghetti of connections and manual processes that I will do that. Okay, that's an email to him. He needs to approve because it's out of boundary or whatever it's done. There's a whole kind of non-standard processes, work to be done, and ultimately he will get it. That's not the thing. But there are multiple delivery channels. While when you have a self-service portal, a self-service catalog, an end user just logs in via that self-service request, and the self-service portal, which will be easy to use, will kick off in the back end the process orchestration, which will then do all the complex integrations and requests and automation and deliver that back through the service portal to the end user. So for the end user, it's one portal he needs to be using, and it's something which is quite convenient, easy, and tailor-made. Depending on the role he has, he will get only the applications which he needs to have. So you don't have to look in a Chinese menu of 75,000 line items. No, it's something which is, okay, I have this role, I'm a sales role, so I need probably a CRM system or a price list and those kind of things. Those will be exposed. You don't need access to things which are, for example, which are not relevant to your job or your role. So that's what we try to do. So workflow, a typical process workflow with approvals is you browse in the catalog, you submit your order, you receive an approval request. Somebody receives it. I need to approve it. I reject due to certain reasons, or it automatically gets rejected if you're not within certain boundaries that you can set, and it's rejected with a comment, and then the requisition is closed. Or you go browse the catalog, you submit your order, receive the approval. He approves with a comment, and automatically the automation workflow is being triggered, and the service will be delivered to you within the SLA that's been defined up front. So you as somebody knows, okay, it will be delivered to me. I order the laptop. The laptop ordering time is 2 days, 3 days. Once you kick it off, you get the approval. You know within 2 days everything is done because everything is automated and standardized. That's what it does. That's what the the service catalog. If I now look into Simpla, what we've created is, in fact, okay, we've created something you have in the market. We have created something, you have this self-service portal, you have the user, and he uses the Metsi self-service portal, the Simpla portal, which can be local or can be hosted wherever you want. A lot of people prefer to have it on their local place, and then it triggers off all those kind of automation tools that companies can have, like HP Service Manager, VMware, ServiceNow, SAP, whatever it is. It triggers it off, and then they in the background do all the crunching and the set up the mechanisms and things like that, and then it feeds it back to the customer. Very simple. Any existing automation orchestration to an ITSM tool platform to connect to, we will connect to and make that sure that it's integrated. That's a part of the enterprise service that you want to deliver. When we built Simpla, we've implemented multiple products in the past, and still we're implementing multiple products. But what we wanted to make sure is that a lot of companies say, okay, I don't need a complex, I need something simple to start with, something which is easy to use, non-disruptive, important. I'm not going to be replacing one of the existing, or I don't want to have my back end, for example, let me say my support ticketing system can also be turned around into a portal. No, because if I want to change my ticketing system in the future, I lose maybe my front end, which is quite important. So we chose something which is independent from the back end. You can change whatever you want to do because you never know what kind of technologies will come across your path in the future. We've taken something which is non-disruptive, just leverage the pieces you've bought and where you have specialists in that do that very good. So it's a non-disruptive. It's easy to scale. I have now 1 service, 2 services, 10 services. How many, you don't know, but it's very easy to scale. It's easy to set up, not complex. It's a managed service, or it's a SaaS model. Easy to maintain and easy to cost. Also important, you have a very easy view on what the cost of that process, of that project is. What is this Simpla? That's how it looks like. That's how it looks like today. Tomorrow it's going to be different because you can change it on the fly almost, the templates. It's a standardized catalog of IT service for improved efficiency. That's why people do it. I want to create IT efficiencies. I have so many IT systems. I have this IT. How can I even make it better of the resources I have? By offering it as an IT service catalog, it helps. It's a web-based end-user self-service portal, which means you can use it from every device you want. It's web-based. It means I can use it from my portlet, I can use it from my laptop, my smartphone, whatever it is. If I need to approve, order something, it all can be done in any device you have. Configurable portal pages and portlets. It has role-based access control, as I explained. Depending on the role, you get access to certain things or you don't get access to certain things. It's multi-tenant, important. You have multiple people using the same resources. Policy governance and approvals, again, security and compliancy. It's important. You can guarantee that because the process has been defined and you can't deviate from it. You can use reusable templates for service request workflows. Very important, there's lifecycle management in it for service requests. You don't have to do. You can go back in time, review, find it, and it's an on-site or a hosted solution. Finally, before I go to the demo, what we call it the Uber of the service catalog. It's in fact the orchestrator, the catalog of the catalogs. It's on top of it, and we have given it. Our focus was mainly on building something, which is what you see is what you get. We call it WYSIWYG. What you see is what we get. A very modern, fresh widget to build from build forms in minutes, and we'll demonstrate that. It's smart device aware, and it data captures in configuration database. That means that everything is stored for auditing and things like that. And finally, it has an orchestration abstraction layer, which allows you to connect to all those different devices, all those different automation platforms you have at the moment, or you don't have, in order to expose those services in such a way that you don't have to rewrite everything again. That was my 27 minutes of fame. I'll give it back to Phil, who will guide you through the demo. If there are any questions, please let me know. I see there's some questions in the meantime. I'll give it first to Phil. Okay. So there's a question, for example, Phil, I'll give it to you. There was a question, how does this compare to ServiceNow? So ServiceNow, from Delphine, I see, ServiceNow is... it has also, like VMware has, like Cisco has, they all have automation tools purposely built for their what they need to be doing. ServiceNow is a support, a ticketing system, and you can automate it and you can expand it and try to do that. But if you're going to be changing, and it's quite complex, it's purposely built to do that, but they've extended it a little bit so you can do a little bit more business workflows. But ultimately, it's a ticketing system. It's the same with VMware. We realize it's a system which is fantastically to manage your virtual infrastructure. Cisco has something which is called Prime Service Catalog, which is perfect to manage your Cisco infrastructure. And you can create a portal out of it, but the ultimate purpose is that one. So you can tweak and do it, and it's quite complex to integrate it, but it's not lightweighted, so it's very complex to set it up, and it's quite expensive. And the thing you'll see right now, it's a much very lightweighted version of that one. So we work with ServiceNow, we work with VMware also. We do that in very large organizations also, where they have the manpower and the people to take that up. But if you really want to be a modern-facing, light-weighted version, the Simpla model is way different. Okay, yeah. Demo, Phil?
Yeah, cheers. So, of course, like Mick said, this is a role-based access system, so we can integrate that with your Active Directory, or you could just leave it with where the user would log in. So this is a login portal, and again, like Mick said, we can change the logo or the look and feel of that as for your color scheme in your business. So if I log in now as the administrator, so the administrator, of course, has access to the whole system, and we then get this admin button across here, and then each tenant or each role we can assign a different look and feel. So you could offer this to multiple companies, and they would see their own logo depending on who logged in. And then all of this text here is all definable in the back end using a simple form to say, I want to change that text. I've added woohoo to that. I can show you, we can take that off later on. So then we go to the catalogue, which defines our services. So these catalogues, this catalogue has categories within it, and these are self-defined. So you can define what they say, as well as what icons appear. And you know, these icons are a bit cheesy, but we can change them very simply just by going to the back end. So if I take you to the back end, just show you here, I've got a got a video thing there. So this is the back end where we can manage the front end. So like I said, the administrator gets access to this, and you can see that we've got roles, groups, and users. So the users belong to groups, and there are roles that then the groups get permissions for. So if I show you how easy it is to add a category, so I can we just fill in this form here. Let's call it assets, and we use that hardware image. We give it a slug and click submit. So this image is what will appear in our categories now, and what we have to do is to add the capability of our admin user to be able to see that category. So if I just tick that there, so it's just simply tick or click, and now when I go to the catalogue, we've now added that assets category. And of course, if I click on it, there's no services in there now, but to add a service, we just simply go to our catalogue, create a service, we select assets from there, let's call it buy a car, a company car type thing. We're going to say we're going to use one of these images, and you can upload your own images as you need. We're going to choose a form to display. Let's say we're going to use that one, and when you click the form, we're going to send it off to one of these workflows. So let's say we do I don't know, anything really, and then here's where you would say, well, this service requires authorization and it has to go through the manager. Now, if we have it integrated with Active Directory, we can select an OU there so that anybody in that OU would get an email to say, please authorize this request. So if we now submit that service, and again we go to our role, select, and we go to here to say this assets by a car service, we need to enable it. And if we go now to our catalogue, we click our assets, and here's our service now available. And if I click that, it shows the form. Now, the forms are very simply made. I'll just show you in a sec how they're done. But they can be complex or simple. You could just ask for which model car you want, what colour did you want it, and that gets submitted. Of course, you can make it as complicated or simple as you like, but for this one, I can show you what we call a dependent drop-down. So we select Audi, and then we select A3, and then we can have an auto blue or a manual red. Or if we change it to BMW 3 Series auto blue. So you can see you can build this form up yourself using the back-end editor. And if I just go to show you how simple that is.
So Phil, can I sort of disrupt?
Sure.
So can you first say a little bit about the roles and the user groups and the users, just that people know where to go? Because
so we have groups of users. So we have the users, and then the groups that we create, and then each group has a role. So look, you can select the role here from the roles, and then those roles have access to system capabilities, which is the back end. They have the categories, so who can see the categories from the front end, and then the services within the categories. So
this is where the role-based access control is being defined. So
yeah.
that's also when you have onboarding of you have people that change from a role within an organization, you can immediately do that there. If you're active directly and automatically, the services that he gets exposed to are changed due to the fact that he has now a new role or in a new user group.
He's in a group that has a role, and then that role has a set of capabilities, so they can either do that one or they can't. So I can disable that, and then you won't be able to see that option from the front end.
Yep. Okay. Go ahead with your forms. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the form, to create a form normally in some of the tools that Mick was talking about is very complex. You have to know a lot of coding, and it's very difficult. Whereas this is just a simple drag and drop. So you pick up the form. This is a text form, and let's say we're going to call it your county that you live in. So enter your county. We don't need a placeholder. That's the bit that sits in there, and we don't need help. So we're going to say that's required, and maybe we need to add country as well. So we just drag that in. Country is the name of the field. Enter country, and again that's required. And so we've now created a form. So this is your home base form. We click save, and that form is now available to be used in our services. Now what happens when you see the form on the front page? You have a click button that's obviously submit, and now we have to say what we want to do once we've submitted it. So a form needs to go with a flow, and we can create workflows in here, and that takes the answer that you submitted in the form.
So Phil, just to get to these workflows, the workflows are the translation of the processes that have been defined initially for a service.
Yes.
That's what they hear. So what we're now trying to do is, when you have those processes, you have different steps. All those steps are a block in this thing, because there needs to be an action done, and we're going to be linking them together to get that service back at the end. That's
right. So if I just find you a test one, I think actually power one. So this power one, this has multiple steps. This one we don't need. We just click that to save it. And then we can add blocks and connect them with the connectors. But what happens is, this is what happens when we submit the form initially, and then of course this is what happens afterwards. So this form here is a complex form that takes the answer from the form and then does three things. And what it actually does is powers on or off a VM. And what I can do is show you that in action. So if we go to our catalog and our infrastructure vCenter power VM. Now, what Well, if I simply show you, this is one of our virtual machines in our lab. So there we go, and it's currently powered on. So what we want to do is power it off. And now if I click submit, what that does is it takes the answer that I gave in that field and this one, and then it sends it to our UCS director in the background, which will now power off the VM. And as you can see, it did it. I wasn't quick enough to show you. So that takes all of the pain away from the user of knowing what's going on in the background. This is the log of what actually happened.
So that means that an end user has no idea about UCS Director or VMware can power on VMs, order VMs, or anything like that.
They don't even need to. They don't know or see that. And what I could do is just to show you that again, to power it back on. And if I click submit, because there's 2 or 3 steps, there's a little pause because it has to first look up the ID of the virtual machine by the name, and then it has to go and pass that ID to the second task, and there we go, it's powered it on. So this enables us to allow those users who are allowed to power on or off machines to do it just by supplying the name and whether they want to power on or off. Of course, we can expand this to ask for new virtual machines or decommission old ones or whatever we need to do, basically. Then, of course, once those requests have been made, if we click on My Stuff, we can see all of the requests that we've ever made, and it will show you there the log on them. So this again enables me to look back and see what happened on it. And what we can do to enhance that is to allow managers to see all of their staff's requests and draw reports from that. And then the reports, because we've built this engine to create a report, is very quick and simple. And for example, this one hooks up with our UCS director and pulls the data live out of the system, and it shows us nice HTML5 reports where you can hover over things and it gives you the data.
So what we've done with those reporting, and that's important because a lot of our customers are asking, reporting is important, definitely with the service catalog. We made it very easy to create your own reports, and it's by dragging and dropping, as you can see here, select what you have, and then you can combine them and can make the reports as you want, or you can integrate it with reporting tools you have yourself.
And so the key to that is that no matter what the system is, as long as it has a capability of looking up the data either through REST or by directly connecting to a database, we can pull that data out and draw any report basically that you want. And
there's a question on that one, Phil. Okay. There's a question from Tanvir. Are there any APIs available to integrate data for the user access and roles?
So if we're talking about incoming requests, because the system is all built around a database, we can allow querying of that data from other systems. So you can get data out of Simpla to go into your reporting system, or we can pull data from other systems into it and show them on reports. Okay,
absolutely, yeah.
And the point is that, so here is where we make our connections. So these are just some of the things that we can connect to. So most systems have a REST API based system, so that would be the one that you would normally choose. But if you have a MySQL or a Windows SQL database within your infrastructure, we can just connect directly to that. Or you can connect via PowerShell to query Active Directory, or SSH to do Linux or network-based systems, Cisco's UCS Director, CPO, Cisco as well, and other systems. But REST will cover most of them, including ServiceNow. We've done an integration with that before, where you can send tickets to it or receive data from it and then show them in reports within the system. And so to do that, if we just show you the UCS Director one, all that needs is the IP, the port, the username and password, but it actually needs this extra bit of information to connect to it. And so this data source definition page enables us to basically connect to any system out there, as long as the virtual machine or the VM that this is running on has access. So that IP address has to be reachable from Simpla. And as long as it can do that and you give the right credentials, then we can connect to it and then extract data out of it and use it in any of the forms or any of the reports. So it enables it to be a toolbox for your whole industry, your whole business, to be able to connect to any system. And then pulling the data out and showing it in a report is very simple. It's very quick and easy to code.
Okay. There's still one question on the APIs. Is there any reference number generated for user based on their request?
So the user makes a request, and each one has a unique number that gets incremented. And of course, that's not per user. That's so the next person to order will get that 429 will be the next one. And so the whole thing is all every single request is unique, and we can then pull the data out. It doesn't have to be infrastructure. We can make things like room booking. We can just select here and create a booking for the meeting room. Where we are. But yeah, this is a simple thing to add. You know, and you just fill it in and make the booking just like that. And there we go.
Yeah, it just shows you that it's more than just, it's not an IT tool itself. Yeah. It can automate everything. Some people use it to expose their catalogs, or salespeople put things on it. And you can, as you can see, you can make categories very easily. We've just created the assets one. You can make categories, and only those categories are visible for certain people. So you can make, for example,
if I log out as that user, and I log in as another user, you see here they've got a different look and colour scheme. We can change the logo up here as well, and they've only got access to this one category, that one subcategory, and only those two services. So, and of course the admin button's disappeared, so they can't get to it. And if we log out and log in as a different user.
So it is easy. It's easy to make it very granular, and you can easily manage that yourself in order to do that. You see, a different user has different views, different access to certain tools, and it allows you to have one central repository which the administrator holds on, where everything is being categorized, and you just say who has access to what. Yeah. And once it's modified on one place, it's exposed to all places that uses that service, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Are there any other questions?
Any other questions so far? I got one question on pricing. It's always a question. The pricing is based, so we have three kind of users. You have the administrator users, the people who do creator workflows and all those kind of complex processes in the background. Those have licenses at £100 per month. Then we have the managers, that are people that have to approve, where, for example, if you have manual approval, sometimes people say in the workflow, before I do the next step, somebody has to approve, has to push a button. Those are managers in our system. They are £30 per month. And then we have the users, people who use a catalog there for free, of course, because everybody can be using it, could be your customers. So it depends how you set it, but that's to give you a rule of thumb. Okay. Any other questions? I don't see anything on the board. Then I would like to thank everybody for attending this Friday afternoon call. So if you need any more information, please feel free to send us an email. I'll be more than happy to follow up with you. If you want to have a dedicated demonstration or more detailed one, let us know. Okay? Thank you very much and have a fantastic weekend.
Cheers.
Cheers, bye.
Thanks all.